Hi everyone, and welcome to another Saturday night here with me, Peter Driver, here in Thomastown, County Kilkenny. We're here in Biscari Fly, and we're going to have another Saturday night live fly tying session here. We're going to pass another Saturday night by, and hopefully get some discussion going, have a bit of fun, tie a few flies, and see how everyone's keeping. If you're online there, drop by, say hello. Alan Lawless, how you doing? Yeah, gone all fancy with the intro there, Al. Yeah, getting very techie in me older age, getting fancier all the time. John, how you doing, John? Good to see you on there. Patrick Smith's on there, how you doing? Robbie Berry's on there. Love the new setup there, Robbie. Just seen you during the week. Good evening, Paul Burke. James Gibson's on there. Great to see everybody on. Hope everyone's having a good Saturday. Declan Smith, how you doing? Up there in Dundalk. Graham Lonigan, how you doing, Graham? Who else have we got there? Neil Hamilton, how you doing, Neil? Darius is on there. Jerry Morgan, Liam Long, Gianluca, how you doing? Dermot's there with Gianluca. Hope you're having a good Saturday night, guys. Hi, Pat McCarthy. Hope you're well. Hope everyone's keeping well. Michael Dwyer. So we kind of left off last week after discussing hi from Slovakia, Joseph. Nice to have you here. Hi, Ray McCabe. Hi, Scott. Dave Toohey's on there. Come on, Dave. Declan Noonan, Thomas Ankertel, Colin Healy, Kieran Sherlock. Up Kevin. Good man, Kieran. Yeah. Kevin had a great win there last week. See, Waterford had a great win there this evening. Even though I'm living in Kilkenny, not necessarily a Kilkenny supporter, but fair play to Waterford. Didn't get to see the match. Hi, Eugene Fagan, Robert Flaherty, Tom Halligan. How you doing? I hope everyone's having a great Saturday night. Yeah, Waterford had apparently a great win. Didn't get to see it. Might get to watch it later on, maybe. But it's supposed to be an epic match. Well done, Waterford. So say, everybody come on, say hi. Give us a shout there, and say it's a bit of flight time for the evening, a bit of crack, and we'll see how we get on. Now, what I was moving on to this week, what I really want to talk is, we moved on from our sit-ups. Now, I must also apologise to everyone from last week. Tony Regan reminded me yesterday. I forgot to put up the dimensions to the leader I made up for you last week. I will put that up as soon as the show is over. Hi, Paul Jenkins. Paul, I seen you were out and catching some ladies there today, were you? Some nice fish caught there, Paul. Well done. Very, very jealous, I must say. But hopefully we'll get back to do a bit of fishing in the next week or two. Be it rainbows and all, but sure, at least we'll get out and wet a line or wet a fly anyway. Which is some nice fish there, Paul. Well done. Colin Hackett's on there. Yeah, so I believe Colin saying it was a fantastic game of hurling. Yeah, I believe it was. I'll actually sit down after the show now maybe and see if I can get it back up and play or whatever and watch it from that tomorrow. But anyway, moving on from what we did last week. So by the way, after the show, I will put up directly after the show. I will put up the dimensions. Apologies again to everyone that was looking for it. John Geaney, any chance of a nice hare's ear pattern? Now, tonight, unfortunately won't be tonight, John. I will do them next week. Okay, next week I'm going to do some hares and stuff. This week we're going to focus on perdigons. Okay, perdigon nymphs. Now, there's a couple of reasons why we want to do perdigons. One is because there's very little tying in them, so I don't have to talk too much about the technical end of it. Shame about the salmon there. Paul Jenkins and said he had a good day but lost the salmon as well, unfortunate. Dylan Roberts greeting from the banks of the Welsh Dee. Hi Dylan, I'm a very jealous man of you too. Welsh Dee, one of my favourite rivers, probably one of the best grayling rivers in Europe. Magnificent river. Normally I'd have done a trip or two to the Welsh Dee by now, but unfortunately it doesn't look like it's going to happen maybe this year at all. We'll have to wait and see how Christmas goes or after Christmas, but if the travel restrictions open up anyway at all, Welsh Dee will definitely be one of my first stops. So we're going to do a bit of perdigon tying, because I say there's not a lot of technical stuff in perdigons. There's some good patterns, there's some good information how to fish them properly and stuff like that, but it'll give me a chance to talk about what I really want to talk about tonight, and that is rivercraft, approaching the river and approaching the fish. Okay, and things we can do to manipulate fish, to manipulate their behaviour, to maximise our catch and all that kind of stuff. So once we've got the right setup that we spoke about last week and the week before, 2 weeks previous, that we spoke about the bead and the importance of the bead, now we're really going to emphasise on where I get the theory as regards the importance of the bead. Okay, now again, as I always explain, this is my own theory. It's not necessarily the Bible of Euro nymphing or how to nymph or anything like that. This is what I've learned and educated myself on over the last 24, 25 years, maybe even longer. And it's just my theory that I want to share with you guys, the way I think and look and approach your own nymphing, and particularly for tonight, the way I approach the river, approach brown trout grayling as well, and we'll see how it goes. But if you have any comments or if you have any disagreements or any feedback, I would love to hear them. So please post them up there and let me know what you're thinking. And I hope everyone's having a good weekend. Getting closer, Christmas all the time. We got our Christmas decorations up today, so it's nice. The kids are all happy. Hi, Christy Hayden from Kilkenny. Hope you're keeping well. Nearly ready for the old shot now, Christy. Tuesday. You're going out Tuesday or Wednesday? I know a few people are planning to get out for a bit of a walk around the fields with the dog on the gun. It'd be great to get some fresh air. So say we're going to focus on a few Perdigons tonight now. So the Perdigons I've picked are ones I'm not I wouldn't say lover, but an overuser of Perdigons, okay? I have probably the way I use my Perdigons is after I'm finished going through a piece of water with my hare's ear and my pheasant tails, which are my first love, well then I'll kind of come back with the Perdigons and look to pick up fish that I might have missed or, just didn't pick up with the hare's ears and the pheasant tails. And that's kind of where I use them. I use them a bit under dry dropper, quite a bit as well. They can be very effective. They penetrate very quickly down. And I've noticed over the years, and I do have a tendency to fish very long, as some of you know, very long behind my dry fly. So there is times, hi Tony O'Regan, there is times when I could even have up to 10 foot between my nymph and my dry fly when I'm dry dropping. Now, if I'm fishing that depth of water, because I firmly believe the distance between your nymph and your dry fly should be 1.5 times the depth of the river. So if I am fishing up to 10 foot behind my dry fly, the length of time it takes for that nymph to penetrate and get down to where it needs to be can be quite a long distance. So you have to cast quite far away, which is not something I'm overly fond of, in order to give time for that nymph to sink down. Or Perdigons penetrate very quickly. Okay, so they get down. So if I'm fishing a big deep flat, I'm up to the top of my chest waders, and I'm actually casting into even deeper water, and we have some really good success on that this year on the Nor down under Mount Juliet Estate in the big deep flats. I could have up to 10 foot between my nymph and my dry. Once it gets down into the kill zone, well then you have a chance of picking up your fish, but the length of time it takes to get down there can be sped up if you're using something like a Perdigon that can penetrate quite quickly. Hi Graham Connolly, hi Peter Doherty, hope you're all keeping well. So starting off with Perdigons today, as we go through the night, I'm going to get more into rivercraft and stuff like that, so forgive me if you've got any questions on the flies and stuff, well then please ask. I'll explain them quite briefly as I go through them, but I really want to talk to you about some rivercraft and the way I approach the river and how I approach fish. So what we're going to tell you first is a very simple and probably a very common one for everyone right now. Hi Tom O'Connor, hope you're well, sir. And Kieran Riley's on there from the west as well. Good evening to yourself, Kieran. There was something I was going to say to you, Tom O'Connor, this evening, if I saw you come on. Paul Jenkins wants to know, what waders do I use? Whichever ones aren't leaking, Paul, and that's the God's honest truth. Whatever I can get at a reasonable price. Definitely, Sims are out of my price range. I can't afford Sims. If I'm in America and I can get them at a reasonable price, I'll pick them up. But other than that, and even the pair I'm just finishing at the moment is a Sims, but I've had them for 2.5 seasons, so that's them gone. I will be moving to Reddington now because they're a reasonable good wader. And I had a pair of the Sonics maybe about 8 or 9 years ago, and I got three seasons out of them. So if I can get 3 seasons out of a pair of waders, well then I'm pretty happy with that. So I wouldn't be paying big money for them, Paul. Definitely just something that's credible and get 2 seasons out of them, and that's as good as you're going to get. Realistically, it's a minefield waders, but look, that's the game. Like these light breathable waders, they don't last long. A hook or a briar or anything at all can put a hole in them. So that's it. Hi Graham Walsh. So we're going to do a microglint, a very simple, very effective microglint Perdigon. Couldn't get any simpler. 3 components on the hook. Happy days. That's my ideal fly. Rip them out there. Joseph's on there. So Perdigon's not his favourite flies. We'll give him a chance next year. Yeah, and they're not my favourite either, Joseph. They're definitely my hare's ears. If I could choose between a pheasant tail and a Perdigon, I will choose the pheasant tail 9 times out of 10. But they do have their purposes. As I said, I use them coming along after the pheasant tails and stuff like that. I use them for dry dropper, for penetration a bit faster. I know, of course, we all know where they came from. The they're designed by the Spanish, and their method of fishing them is perfection. Hard, fast rivers, very fast penetration, very simplistic patterns, and they certainly do work. There's no doubt about it. I personally, like yourself, Joseph, wouldn't be making them my number one, but they do. They are worth having in your box and worth exploring. So this is a very simple microglint. Microglint comes in a ton of colours. We have a load there on our website. They come in box sets, they come in individual spools. This is rainbow microglint I'm using on this one. And the reason why I'm going to show you this one is not just simplicity, but actually under dry dropper earlier on this year, myself and Dave and Mark fished a small tributary in Kilkenny to the north. And this was just outstanding under the dry dropper. Outstanding. So it's something, and the reason why I put it up was because I was fishing, because the river was so overgrown, I was fishing very close to myself, and but yeah, I had a long leader. The river was in colour and we're fishing the deeper pockets, long leader, so I needed something to get down quick rather than going to big heavy hare's ears and stuff like that. A very slim, very tidy perdigon will penetrate that a little bit faster, and it can mean you get down to the kill zone an awful lot quicker, so then that allows you to pick up fish in a very short space. A little bit of cocktail on there for the tail, and just wind down. Just going to extend that cocktail on a bit. So I said, I really want to talk to you tonight about river approach and fish and stuff like that. So I have this theory that I have done some research on and a lot of practice on over the last couple of seasons, is that the fish take our nymphs, I would say, on most occasions, up to 80%, if not higher of the time, because of aggression. An aggressive take rather than seen as a representation of food. Agree or disagree? I'd love to hear your comments. So we're just going to taper up that body, just nice. No, it's nothing overexciting. How do you stop them blooming, Peter? Hi, Martin Fennessy. When you're talking about what's that, Paul? Blooming. So very simple. Whip finish. Nymph is almost done. You can run out hundreds upon hundreds of these things over the Christmas and have a full box of very effective, very fish catchable nymphs. No problem. That's it. Simple as you get. We're going to put a bit of resin on that now, chisel it up a bit, and but that's basically the nymphing. That's basically the nymph. So simple. Okay. So when I'm talking about the fish aggression, so like there's been a couple of situations I've been over the years that would make me lean towards that theory. One is when I went to the river 2 seasons back and I wrote a blog on it. When they white, still not getting there, Paul. You might just expand on that when they're white. You might just expand on that there for me for a minute. But I went to the river a couple of seasons ago. I wrote a blog post on there, and I went down with just a bead super glued on the hook. I've probably mentioned it before, and I had 22 fish in a very short space of a time, probably less than half an hour. Now, of course, I knew where the fish were. I knew the predominant lie, and I knew the protective lie in that particular water. And I was able to go in with just a bead and a hook, and knowing that bead would put the bead and hook in the right place, well then the fish had took it. Now, they certainly didn't see it as a piece of food. When the resin goes white, okay, Paul, a very good question, and we're going to cover that now in a couple of seconds. The fish took it, so I knew obviously I was putting it in the right place, and I was in the river, so they knew I was there. So there's no theory there. Absolutely, Dave's there. I'd rather have the wrong fly in the right place than the right fly in the wrong place. Perfect, Dave. Yeah. Hi, Christoph. Hi, Robbie Berry. So that's microglint, Robbie. Simple microglint. That's microglint. We have it there online. We have a whole set, or you can buy it individual spools. Comes in loads of different colours. Microglint is just for doing perdigons. It can be very good for tails, and I use it in wet flies and everything as well. So it has a multitude of uses. But very simple for perdigons. So, my theory would be that fish were taken, what I was using that day, because of aggression, because something was in their space or whatever. Tom O'Connor, I've just remembered what I was going to speak to you about and inform everyone. So I'm just got a little bit of Solderez here. This is Solderez thin and hard. This is what I always use. Okay, I find it the best. And to answer Paul, and I'll get back to you now 1 second, Tom. There's a whole heap of stuff going through my mind here right now at the moment. I want to talk to you about everything. This could be an extended version of Saturday Night Live tonight. I got so much. This is really where I get real passionate is about what I'm going to speak to you about tonight. So what I'm doing here is just putting on a bit of solder as Paul, and I'm just having it in a small tub here below me. Now, couple of key things to using resin. Okay, one is you can put it on with a needle like I'm doing, or I use a little brush. And this goes the same for when you're doing buzzers. You must seal the nymph. You must seal it. So you must get back on. Hi, Chris Meadows. You must seal the nymph. So I'm coming right down onto the hook with that bit of resin, and I'm coming up onto the bead. Okay? Not overloading it with resin. Right? I don't believe in overloading it. I just put a nice layer on there for the moment. Even it up as best I can for the moment. So it's sealed. So there's no little gap there around the bead. There's no little gap at the butt. It's all sealed. That will help us stop it blooming, okay? Secondly, use a laser pen, all right? Lamps, I'm just not a great lover, okay? I don't think they work, they're too slow. Laser sets it within a split second, okay? Sets it like glass. I have never, ever, and I'm holding hand to my heart, never ever had a problem with any of my buzzers or any of my nymphs going white. Once you seal it, well then, there's no way water can get in behind it. Most of that is condensation, it's water penetrating in into the materials, and it hasn't been set, it hasn't been cured fully. Okay, so go into get a laser pen, or make sure you're sealing the whole way around. Okay, then, as we all seen on perdigons done by perdigons done by the Spanish and stuff, they have a little black kind of head on the back of it. You have a couple of options, and as we do the perdigons tonight, we're going to cover a different option on every perdigon. Okay, first one we're going to do is using Sharpie. So just there on the back of the bead, coming slightly down into the body and putting that little black. That's the quick version. You can rattle them things out in seconds. You sit down there with a spool of that, a couple of spools of microglint, your resin all laid out, your Coq de Leon all laid out, your beads all laid out, or your beads on your hooks, and you can absolutely run them out, and they will catch fish for you. There's no doubt about it. This year, that was probably one of that day that me and Dave, you remember that day, Dave, we went up that little river in Kilkenny, me, you and Mark, and we sent Mark back for the car, and we went on up. Well, that was what I was using under the dry dropper that day, and it was absolutely devastating that day. So I just covered it again with another little bit of resin to give that Sharpie a little bit of protection, taper off the rest of my body, and that's it. Very effective little perdigon. And you can put a little hot red tag in there, you can put a hot collar in there with microglint. It's endless. Yeah, Kieran, yeah, they're great. Like, no, they're Joseph is back on there. They're good for all year round, Joseph, and they're quite good on grayling. I've never had as great success on them with winter grayling because normally I'm fishing the Welsh D and it's really heavy and we're on a lot of big 4 mil heavy grub caddis and stuff like that. And definitely I know in Slovenia, fishing up there with Microscafar a couple of years back, and I had a really good session on that time. On that trip with perdigons, I found them to be quite effective. So look, they're worth exploring, Joseph. Definitely, Spanish are one of the best countries in the world. Top level tournament fishing, they're always at the top table. There has to be some kind of smarts behind it, what they're doing. So definitely worth exploring with. Experiment with it. I think you're right. Pheasant tail number 1. Absolutely, I'm down. I'm on your team for that one. Yeah, Graham Lonigan's on there. Say green microglint perdigon with orange rib near the bead, hammered it. Yep, absolutely fantastic. So just back to Tom O'Connor there, Tom. Tom, do you remember a time when me and you and I think Albert Mulhall went down to a little tributary on the River Nore, and I was showing you something that I've been working on for a couple of months. Remember, it was summertime, rivers were rock low. Now, I've gone way back to Sweden, even a bit later probably. I think the first person to really make me think about fish behaviour, and hi Alan Kenny, the first person to really make me think about manipulating fish behaviour by the way we move through the river and the way we approach the river was Mirko Skaffar. In my eyes, there's a few men out there that as an angler, you've got to go and spend a day with these guys in the river. Mirko Scarfart is one of them. This man is phenomenal. Check out his website. He's an innovator. He's not a big fancy, over the top angler. He is so practical, but his understanding of fish behaviour and fish manipulation is like nothing I've ever seen anywhere before. And I've been to him a couple of dozen times. He's a really good friend of mine, and I know a lot of other Irish guys have gone, and other European guys have gone to him. Really, really, and another good Italian friend of ours, Alessandro Fresche, is another really good guy that is well worth going and spending a day with. But definitely, if you ever want to go and say, I wouldn't mind something different, I wouldn't mind going and meeting somebody and having a really good day with someone, go see Mirko Scarfart in Slovenia. This man is unbelievable. Hi Sean, how you keeping? So anyway, Mirko would have taught me a little bit about, a lot about fish behaviour management. So when I was down on the river, this tributary to River Nore, really hot summertime, low rivers, fishing was diabolical normally. So I was just playing around. And what I was doing, right, I was getting into the flats, and we've all done it. You walk up the flats and you push this shoal of trout in front of you. We all see it. The little trout are 6 inches or darting up in front of you and all that. And I started doing it an awful lot. I spent days doing it, actually, believe it or not. And I was actually discovering what's happening. I could push them up so far, and then they'd stop. Or they'd start congregating a little bit, and then they'd start darting behind me. Right? So, in other words, like a fish territory, they're territorial creatures. They're not going to move out and go 3 miles downriver unless they're migrating, when you enter the water. So they're kind of confined to their territory. But once they kind of get moved a bit, or something invasive comes into that territory, they become very aggressive. Become highly aggressive. And what I was doing back then, and Tom, you might come in on this one for a second and remember that day, was I was getting into the water at the bottom of the flats above a run or wherever it may be I could get access, and I was starting to walk noisily but slowly up through the middle of the little river, the stream. Yep, Tom is on there now. He says, yeah, he remembers. And we were congregating these fish in front of us, and we were taking, once we got up so far, maybe 20, 30 foot, we were actually slowing down. The fish knew we were there. They knew we were there. And this is only maybe knee-high water, and there could have been 15 or 20 fish in front of us, and they knew we were there. And eventually they got to the top of their territory, and they stopped, and they start swimming in and out, moving around, not pushing further, wanting to come back. But because we slowed down, we just pushed them right to the edge of where they were just so uncomfortable, and they were so aggressive that all we had to do was reach out with a rod, a single little black nymph, drop it in, count 1, 2, 3, or just wait till you see a fish picks up, because it was so clear and it was so low, we could see the silver bead. Drop it into the water, and as soon as the fish has them out, lift them up into the net, bang, go again. Lift them up into the net, bang, go again. So that was another part of research that I've done that has led me to believe, now there's no way that those fish were taking that for food. There's no way. We were standing 10 foot behind them in low summer water. We'd have to push them 10, 15 yards upriver purposely into the top of their territory, and they weren't going any further. If we take one more step, and I've done it loads of times for practice, if we take one more step forward, well then they would have shot behind us. They would have just bolted out behind us. So it was a really interesting piece. Now, it's something I haven't overly worked on a lot since, but it does, in that sense of working on small, clear rivers, but it does give me kind of, my direction when I'm entering a river, that when I'm going in and I'm starting on, let's pick any piece of the River Nore or something like that, and I'm looking at this big generic piece of water, maybe some small identification of what's going on underneath, a rock, a stone, a stick, a glide, or a bit of a hole or a channel, and the first two things I would try and identify is the protective lie versus the predominant lie. Okay, so the predominant lie is where a fish sits out in the open, there's no one near him, he's there all day, sun himself, picking up a bit of food, not sitting in the heavy channel, because they don't want to exhaust themselves and burn up fat reserves and stuff like that, and they're swimming in and out, gliding in and out, picking off their food. The stronger fish might be sitting in a little bit deeper, whatever it may be, and they're happy out. But once you get in there and once you start approaching those fish, and they know you're there, the second you take one footstep, no matter how quietly you think you're doing it, they know you've entered the river. And I'm just seeing what I'm going to go on here next and keep tying to keep some of the fly tyers interested. So they they move to their protective lies. Hi Patrick Phelan. Pure sign of aggressive behaviour. Absolutely, Tom. Yeah, absolutely. So once they move into their protective lies, or you've pushed them to the top of their little beats or their little territories, well then having the right bead is the most crucial aspect of your approach. Because once you have the right bead and you put it in the right place, it doesn't, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter a damn what's on behind that bead. What's on behind the bead is what gives you personal confidence in that fly's ability to catch fish. So, and we can see it, and Gianluca, you might come in on this one for me. So, a good few years back, I've been tying Gianluca fly, which is the red thorax, we call it. Red thorax hare's ear. Now, Luca swears by that fly, and he catches a ton of fish on that every year, all over the country. I can't catch a goddamn thing of that. He rings me, he texts me, had a great day today, buddy. Caught a crap load of fish on that fly. You know, yeah, Dave is on there. He's seen the Polish doing something similar, coming in from both sides of the bank of the river to get the fish into the centre of the run, and then they nymph the shit over. So they're manipulating the fish. They're manipulating the behaviour. Okay, so you can shoal up fish. You can push them, even if they're not feeding. You can push them into an area. Once you can recognise that area, once you have that in your concept when you approach it, and you can recognise that area of where you want to push them, of how far they're going to go. Once you get them in there, and if you have the right bead, strike with confidence is one of the biggest things that I see a lot of people fail on all the time. You know, every time I'm coaching someone or whatever else, and they say to me, I think that was stone, I say, no, it's not a fish. Everything's a fish. Everything is a fish. You hit it, no matter what it is. Okay? So basically, I've just got here a size 14 DO4 Marutu dry fly hook here in the device, and I'm going to tie this nymph on a dry fly hook. Okay, so when I'm tying my perdigons, and I'm going back to the other conversation now in a minute, when I'm tying my perdigons on straight shank hooks, I tie them on either 301s or the Marutu DO4s. Yes, you are going to run the risk of straightening the hook, but as regards to hook penetration, absolutely no brainer. Don't be afraid to go light wire. Yeah, I can hold again, hand up to my heart, and say I haven't straightened in 6 to 8 fish in the last 10 years. And I fish dry fly hooks and straight perdigons. So if I'm fishing straight hooks, I will use I won't use 302s or any kind of heavy wire hooks because I find they bounce. The light wire penetrates and I'll set that hook quite quickly. So what I'm doing here now is I'm just adding in a bit of Tommy fly number 14 out over the top of the bead. So you would have read a blog I would have done some time ago on what I coined the Rockets, which is a nymph, and I actually tied this going to Slovenia one time, a perdigon going to Slovenia one time, looking to do something a little different, especially for the rainbows out there. And this is what it came. This is what came of it. So it's going to be called a rocket perdigon. That's what I kind of just called it at the time. But so anyway, back to Gianluca's story. Gianluca's on there, and he reckons it's the best hare's ear he's ever used. Now, most of you have read a lot of my articles I've published over the years, or all my talks and blogs and blah blah blah, and I always come back, and it was our number one, well, definitely my number one fly in the Welsh Tea is the hare caddis grub. Now that hare caddis grub for me is my number one nymph, right? It's lethal, especially in heavy water. Catch an awful lot of fish on it. It's fantastic. Now, if I was putting an orange collar on that, hot orange collar on it, that's Luca's number one. That's Luca's favourite nymph. I can't catch a fish on it. I cannot for the life of me. I have tried it and tried it and tried it for the last 8 to 9 years since I've been tying it for Luca, and absolutely haven't been able to catch fish on it. Just can't do it. Tie a dozen of them, put them in a box, try them, can't get it. Switch back to my hare's ear, exact same body, exact same tying, same shape, same size, same bead, the whole lot, with just no hot orange collar, and I will take any man on. You know? It's you know, what I think what goes on behind the bead is down to your own preference. It's down to your own confidence of you having confidence in that pattern's ability to catch fish, more so than its ability to represent the food that the stroke could be feeding. Agree with me or not? That's my theory. Alright? Now, I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts on it. Okay, so basically what I done there was tied in a bit of orange, put on my bead there, see Pat McCarthy was there, and Pat McCarthy was on there, and he said, no, beads in there now, Pat. And you can see what I've done. So I've left a little bit of a hangover, and I put in some black Tommy fly, as you'll all know from tonight. You all know already, I love Tommy fly. Its colours are so intense, and they're fantastic. So I have a little bit of Tommy fly in there. Now you have two options of finishing off this fly when we kind of, but I'm going to do the original pattern I did, which had a cocktail tail as usual. I like using the dark Puedo cocktail. Take a couple of fibres of that. Just going to take off a little bit of a layer. So what do you think? So as regards, for me, when I enter a piece of river, I look for the predominant lie. So I look along the glides, the margins of the gravy train, as I call them, and they're the first places I'm going to hit. They're the first places I'm going to get into, because that's where I know the fish are lying, because that's the predominant lie. From there, once I start catching, once I have to start running back to my controller, because when I put a fish into net, I don't turn and take my time come back in. I literally spin on a penny and I push whatever water's in front of me up on my knees. Here's a whitewash, and I'm gone back to my controller as fast as I can. Drop the fish off to him, get him measured, sign my card, turn around, and I'll plough straight back out to that same spot again, and I'll nymph. And on my first cast, I'm expecting a trout. I'm not just nymphing there, just I'll wait and see if they settle. I'm expecting a fish. And we've all watched the videos, the live videos, that from that fish, Fly Fish Live last year, where the likes of Dave was getting up to 45 fish an hour. I was in the river beside him as well. There was two of us in the river. Dave was ploughing through it, and I had to plough through it to keep up with him. And he'd 45 fish an hour. Now, those fish didn't take those nymphs because they thought it was food. They took it because they knew Dave was there. They took it because their aggression was heightened, because they were pushed into their protective lies, into the deep channels, into the pockets, and Dave was able to identify where they were, and he targeted those spots exactly what he said there. The Polish do that. They come in from either side, they push the fish into the middle, into those. No, John Hawthorne, is the tail essential? Not necessarily. You're going to see another way I can do the tail now in a second. Push those fish into that protective lie, and then target them and hammer them. Get your bead size right, have confidence in the pattern you're using, and you'll have no problem catching fish. Sometimes it's better off, and I will do it, and people know I do it, be extra aggressive when I'm wading through the river. Really make a lot of noise, really, look to push fish, look to manipulate them a bit, and once I get them into position, well then I'll target them. And you can often go the first half an hour, 3/4 an hour of a session, and be blanking, and people saying, geez, he's under pressure or whatever, and you're not. I'm just, getting ready. Now look this is a theory, of course. All theories are there to be challenged and to be debated, and this one is no less. So what I've just done there is I've just cut that. Actually, there's one little thing I want to do just before I do that. I'm going to spin that Tommy fly just to get it a little bit finer, and hope you're all keeping well on Saturday night. You hear me babbling on here. I say this is a kind of an approach and theory that I love to have a conversation about, and love sharing with people. And I hope you are getting some from it. If anybody has any questions, please do. Graham, it can be very exhausting going back to the controller after each fish. But that's part of the competition. And I know definitely if I qualify for a Worlds or European, probably one of the first things I'll do after I send off the form and the entry fee is join the gym and start training, get those leg muscles going. It is absolutely exhausting at times. I can remember one of my worst experiences fishing a European Championship in Poland in 2004. I think it was Tom Ankertel. Tom, you were the man there. Tom was the captain. Yes, Jonas Olsen's on there and makes a great point. He says, hi Peter, if there's one thing I learned from my years in competition fishing is fish don't spook nearly as much as I was told when I started. Absolutely, Jonas. Well, my dad was teaching me, if I made as much as any sound on the gravel bank, I could be sent back to the car. I totally agree with it. I think, we've got to become more aggressive. I've watched over the years, I've been lucky enough to, hey Stephen, hope you're keeping well. Stephen Potts is on there. I've been lucky enough to see some of the best anglers on the planet compete, as a lot of others have seen them in competition mode. And look at fish, they don't spook that easy, and sometimes they need to be spooked to wake them up. So it's worth working on, it's worth theorising on. So basically what I've just done, I've just taken that Tommy fly back over the top of the bead, as you can see, and I've trapped it in there at the butt. I've spun my black thread, and now I'm going to rib that fly up. And I remember the first time I was tying this fly, I was thinking, God, this could be the next best thing. And I kind of, God, it looks like a rocket. It looks like it's going to hit the bed of the river like a bullet. Flames coming out the back of it, you know. And so I called it the rocket. You know, that's where I got that name out of. So I'm going to whip finish it off. Now when I tied it originally, I had the cocktail tail. Now you can also tie that fly any colour, by the way. I had a white one with a purple back over that worked really well a couple of seasons ago, and then it kind of just stopped working for me. For whatever reason, I just lost confidence in it, rather than the fish stopped taking it for food. So you can leave that tail on there. You could trim it off. You know, nice hot tag there. Left that there for Robbie Berry was the same there. His dad would lose the head. So the Paul Jenkins, the one with the copper sulky Paul, is my number one grayling. Of the couple of wins we had in the Welsh D for the Hannock European Grayling Championships, all my fish were caught on the either the Grayling Slayer or that one with the copper sulky. So you can just trim that off there. If you didn't have a cocktail on tail, makes a cracking nymph, really good for Slovenian rainbows. But because I got it like that, I'm going to trim that off there. I got this lovely little hot top on the bead, lovely hot back coming down that nymph, and now I'm going to resin it up. So whenever I enter the river, then I've got a plan. And you know, like every plan changes. You know, we can't predict, and I think that's one of the things I really love about fly fishing for trout especially, is, you know, while we think and we work hard and we put our research in and do whatever we have to do, and you know, you can come home one day and you think, God, I've cracked it. That's it. Never have to do nothing else ever again. Go back the following day and scrap everything you did yesterday because the fish just aren't playing. So, you know, the fish do move, or, you know, there's an awful lot of external influences on fish behaviour that I don't think we understand even yet. But definitely most time when I enter the river, I'm looking at a couple of things to get into the predominant lie. And while I mightn't be overly aggressive some days, depending on the fish, depending on my experience of the fish through practice, you know, I might be overly aggressive getting into those predominant lies, to pick off as many as I can as fast as I can, because the whole idea is to put scores on the card. So, you know, I'll get in there, get out as many as I can, and then become more aggressive maybe in the second half of the session. Just going to give that a blast to the pin there now, just to set it a second. And I'm going to just add another small little bit up there near the thorax. I'm not sure if I got it fully right. So that saves us now putting on our black back thorax, as we'd see in most, because we got that lovely hot red. Just making sure I got it all sealed right down to the head. We got that lovely hot red coming over the top of our silver bead. And because Tommy Fly's intensity colour stays the same, you can put that red over a black bead and it'll still be as bright as it is coming over the silver bead. Lethal. Absolutely lethal on the right day, of course. Really good Perdigon. Something a little different to offer them. Yeah, different patterns, different time of the season, absolutely. Declan Doyle's on there, and he said, yeah, Declan, remember, he told me about a shoal of fish he nearly walked on earlier in this year. Yeah, absolutely, yeah, you were walking up through a piece of the river and you just happened to stumble across a shoal of fish and just you managed to pick off a few. They probably even knew you were there. So, you know, when I approach a fish, I look for that predominant lie, I attack that first, and then from there, then I have tried to figure out the protective lie that they've moved into. So the fish that I release, the fish that I've spooked, the fish that I've missed, the fish that I've dropped, whatever it may be, they're going to move somewhere, not too far away. They're not going to get into the bus and head off down the town. You know, they're going to stay in that area. And if you can figure out that area, hit that predominant lie first, and then push your way into that protective lie, and work that channel or work that hole or that rift or whatever it may be, and with the right bead and, you know, having those nymphs at the right level, and you can absolutely, you know, really do serious damage to you know, and put some serious numbers on your card. And a couple of things that I would concentrate an awful lot on as well through my practice is working on a count. You know, that once my nymph hits the water, I start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if I hit a fish at 7, and if that happens 4 or 5 times in a row, well then I'm going to pretty much be striking at, Kieran, well worth to go. I'm going to be striking at, hi Dangela, I think it is Dangela. Where are you from, Dangela? New name to the crowd tonight. But I'm going to be striking pretty much in around 7 all time. I'm not going to wait for it to go 8, 9 and 10 and waste time. I've only got 3 hours to maximise, or if you're in something like a 1 hour shootout, you don't have those valuable seconds to waste. So, if there's no chance of catching a fish after 7, well then you whack it at 7. But you can be sure I'll hit it at 7, confident that there's a fish on the butt of it, there's a fish on that hook. And, anticipated striking is something that absolutely works. As we've seen in Wales, we've done it. Myself and Dave, I think it was, I know in my counting down on the Blackwater, Dave, was 3. Every time I put those nymphs, sorry, I'm just treading up a bit of Tommy Fly here now for a second while I'm rambling on. But every time I put those nymphs in between those weed beds on the Blackwater, as soon as the nymph broke the water, I go 1, 2, 3 strike. If the trout didn't have the nymph in its mouth after 3 seconds, 1, I was either not going to catch a fish. 2, I was going to end up in trouble because those nymphs were going to swim into weed or get caught up on the dirty bottom, and then I'd have to spend time cleaning them. So in 1, 2, 3, no fish, whack it out. The amount of fish that I pulled out on that laser pens, Ray, we got them on the website. Just go onto our website there, you'll see them. The same ones I use, they're on the website, they're 12 quid I think. So the amount of fish I pulled out on 3, and save time going 4, 5, 6, caught in the weeds, damn, pull it out, lose a nymph maybe, have to clean it up, whatever it may be. Try and work on counts, try and really hone your skills in on that aggressive take. If they don't have it in that, I wouldn't, you move up a bit, change the angle, do something different and give them a little different angle, could change the take. But other than that, I work on the counts that if I can get some kind of a count going to practice, I will take it out and not allowed to go past that. So what I'm going to move on to next is another Perdigon, and this has been one that has been very productive over the years. And this is actually a Perdigon I brought to Slovenia with me at that stage too when I was going over. And I think Dave, if you're still on there, Dave, what was the name of that little river that we fished under the restaurant that day? There was a little timber bridge there. You went in kind of on a piece of water after me when I went down river, and we were working the Mirko and we got a lot of fish. But anyway, this nymph really came into its own in that river for me. If you can think of that name, Dave. I think Dave has a trivia question for us tonight as well at some stage there, Dave, if you do. Bang it up there if you haven't already. So I'm just taking out a size jig 16, and I'm putting a 3mm silver bead. Or will I do this one? No, actually this one is a black bead. Excuse me now. Through on the black bead. Hope everyone's keeping well. Hope everyone's having a Saturday night. Good Saturday night. I'm shooting through a black bead box here now to pick out the bead I'm looking for. Bear with me 1 second. So we have our Christmas special coming up. I picked the date. Hi Lorraine. Lorraine's on from France. Manager of the European French team. Good to have you on, Lorraine. Hope you're keeping well there in France and everyone is safe and well. I'm sure Lorraine could, maybe we'll get Lorraine on here sometime as a guest speaker. But we have picked our date for our Christmas special. So it's going to be on the 27th of December, which is a Sunday night after, I hope it suits everybody, the Sunday night after Stevens' night. On the 27th, we're going to have a Christmas special. It will start at 8 o'clock. It's going to run for a couple of hours. We've had a lot of people wanting to come on, say hello, tie a couple of flies. We've been given some absolutely amazing prizes to give away on the night, including yearly membership to Mount Juliet Estate, which is valued at €200. We're going to be giving that away tonight. We got a ton of prizes. We got some really good patterns. We got some really good fly tires lined up. A lot of people want to come on and say hello and stuff. So make sure you save that date, the 27th of December, starting at 8 p.m. There, you will see it on Facebook. Colin, no, you don't have to tie perdigons on jigs. Just some of these patterns I'm tying on jigs. The last one was on a standard hook, and all these patterns can be tied on a standard hook if you find that more productive. Just when I was using these nymphs at the time, I found the most effective. They just happened to be on jigs, so I'm just tying them as they are for the as the day I fished them. By the way, of course, as always, tomorrow morning I will put up a question on something based on tonight, and whoever gets the first right will win all these nymphs, and plus a couple more from I'd done beforehand, just to make sure I wasn't too rusty. So a little bit of cocktail on. I got Tommy Fly number 14 on there again. A little bit of cocktail on for this one, as usual. And it's going to form a little butt, hot orange butt there to put the back of that. So even with that approach that I was talking about, manipulating fish and being aggressive and look to trigger that aggression and hone in that aggression, that doesn't, some people might argue the point, well, on a small river, with the drive, it can spook and make them back behind you. Your level of aggression, you adapt to that, Now, you can also use your flies or the method that so Dave is on there with his trivia question. Neil, I'll be the same. Neil, I'll be the very same. But hi Brian Canty. Dave is on there with his trivia question. What is the combined weight of Irish River and Lake brown trout records? There's a great question. So what is the combined weight? What is the two weights added together of the Irish River and Irish Lake brown trout record? Great question, Dave. I couldn't even tell you the weight of one of them. I think the lake trout, if I'm not mistaken, is from the lake trout is from Loch Ennell. Don't know. Dave is going to answer that one for us in a while there. So guess away, guys. I'm going to pick a prize before tonight's over and tell you what you're going to win. So basically, what I've just done is added some Tommy Fly back thread, come back down over me hot orange, and I'm going to form the shape I want in that body. Everyone's having a good guess there. Let's see who's on. Sometimes people come on and they don't say hello, and I never know you're actually on, because all I see is people messages and I don't actually see who's actually on watching. So if you're on watching, please say hi. It's something I do always mean to mention as well, actually, if you wouldn't mind. There's a share button there. Hit that share button as well. I always like to get as many people on as we can to spread the word. Really appreciate it. So once I've tapered up my body, I take me was that it, Joe? The Lapina? Could have been now. Yeah, could have been the Lapina. I can't for the life of me remember. It was stuffed with fucking grayling. And we're big grayling. There was a couple of big rainbows in it that got under that wooden bridge. But Neil Hamilton, Loch Ennell, 1894. Imagine that. Imagine all the trout that have been caught in Ireland. Big trout since then. God, there's some great guesses coming in. Darius Simkus, 426 ounces. I wouldn't even tell you what poundage that is. Declan Smith's on there, 42 pound, 46 pound, 46. Some great guesses coming there. Keep guessing, guys. Dave's going to let us know in a little while who wins that prize. What am I going to give away? I'm going to figure out something to give away to you tonight. I'll tell you what I'm going to give away. This is what I'm going to give away. I'm going to give away a UV laser pen, and I'm going to give away a tube of Solar Res tin hard resin. We're using it on every fly tonight. So the winner tonight wins that. It's the tube, the 2 gram tube of Solar Res tin hard resin, the blue stuff, and I'm going to give away one of our UV laser pens. So Ray McCabe. This could be if you're looking for a pen and some resin. Definitely. So what I've just done there is I've spun that Tommy Fly to make sure it gets nice and thin, and that form a nice little rib. I'm just trying to get that rib, because you're all watching. These weren't watching now. I just lashed that on there, and there'll be no bother at all. But anyway, get that rib fairly. It looks pretty good. Get that rib nice and even up that body. And say the one thing that I love about Tommy Fly is so thin, and its colour is so intense that even when I put in that thin over a hot colour like that over a black thread, tie it off, put on my resin, that thread is still going to bang out of that. Terry's on there. Dave Donovan wants to know to Terry, can you hide you? So Terry, can you hide us? Can you smuggle us in there, Terry, onto the D? So once I've got that, so that intensity is still going to stay that colour. I've often found that using some other, like the glow bright stuff, like for one, it's a bit too heavy, but secondly, once I put UV resin over it or glue, well then, the Irish record on the Rivers was held on was taken off the Shannon. Good stuff, Mikey. Thanks for that information. That it becomes translucent and it doesn't bang it doesn't hold its intensity quite as much. So going back now, this time you've seen me doing a couple of needles. Now I'm going back to my normal way of doing it with a brush. So I always put my resin into a small little tub like that, and then I just use it as I want it. Small little artist brush there. I find it the best control. Now look, I can blob on, but no, my clumsiness and I'd end up squirting out a whole load of resin. Most of it would end up on the vise or the floor. So I tend to just coat this. Plus I know if I'm coating it this way, a little bit slower, but I know I'm getting a good even coat. I'm getting that seal, Paul Jenkins, so I don't have any blooming on it. Give it a bang at it. Terry Evans is stuck as well, he can't get it himself. Jeez, we're on the same about Terry. But you look at, lads, as long as we're all safe, as I say, the rivers will flow, fish will swim, and they'll rise. We'll get there sometime. This time next year, Terry. This time next year we shall all have a meet up in the Welsh Tea somewhere, or one of your rivers, and have a bit of crack and be laughing back about these nights. Another little bit of a blob there. I don't bother putting it on the back of this one. You can, if you want, put a different colour. And there's lots of colour resins out there. Solar Res has a lot of good colours. Laser, Gulf, they all have good colours. I use the Solar Res and the Laser a lot if I'm using coloured. But I'm going to show you on the next Nymph. And you're going to have to stay to watch this one. If you haven't heard of mica powder, you're going to have to stay and watch the next Nymph. It's going to open up a few new doors for you. So there it is, small little black killer. For trout, absolutely lethal. For grayling, Slovenia was lethal too that week. We were over there. Really good little, very simple. But you can see how intense that colour stays once we put the resin even over the black, that real fine floss. You can really see that rib. Kieran Sherlock. I know worries, Kieran. I'm a fanatic. Most people say I'm borderline psychotic when it comes to fly fishing and fly tying. I absolutely live, eat, breathe, sleep it. How my wife puts up with me, honey, if you're watching, hello. How she puts up with me is beyond me. But anyway, I absolutely just live, eat and breathe and sleep it. Since I was a kid, ever since a kid. I can remember the first time I got a fly tying kit, and the gentleman was from Tipperary. I think I told that story before. John O'Connor brought me up in fly tying kit, drove up, spent a weekend teaching me how to tie the basics, do all the basics, whip finish stuff like that. He gave me Peter Riley's book, and I was only 11, 12 maybe. I think I was just going into first year in secondary school, so we're coming around 12, 13 mark. How you doing, Daniel Quinn? Wicklow man living in Canada. What part of Wicklow were you from, Daniel? Great to have you on, say hello. I'm from Rathdrum myself. Hope Canada's treating you well. I was over there last year for a couple of days and had a great time up in British Columbia. But anyway, he left me Peter Riley's book as well, and I sat for the entire winter from September right through till March, April, trying to tie every single fly in Peter Riley's book. And I did that for about 3 years, I think, and I bought little bits of gear off Mayo Flycraft when they were on the go at the time, and I used to, have the little pamphlet, ring in the order, write them a letter. I used to handwrite them a letter, post it off, wait 2 weeks, and I think all my Christmas is coming once, waiting for this little box of stuff to come in. So Dave is on there now. Barely. Deirdre's on there, lads. Deirdre Driver. Hey, she's still watching. Thought she'd have been gone well off of me by now. Barely, she says, barely. She's barely putting up with me. But anyway, she does, thank God. Dave is on there. Okay, boys, the Shannon holds the record. £20 trout on a river. Wow. Caught in 1894. The lake record is in Enel. £20, 2 ounces. Caught in 1957. Kieran Riley. Well done, young man. Kieran from the West there knew his stuff. He got it. Kieran, I'm going to get a pen and some resin in the post to you on Monday. Well done to everyone for the guesses. So there you go. £20 in the river and £20 2 ounces on the lake. Loch Ennell, what a lake. I was on that one time, had a disaster on it, nearly got killed, it was a wild day in the bottom of my own, but anyway, that's another story. I'll save that for another night. Might save that one for the Christmas special. But where was I before that came up? So ever since I was a young lad, absolute fanatic into fly tying, fly fishing, and spent all my summers, all my mates out doing football, doing everything else, and all I could think about day and night was fly fishing. And still the same today, even though I do it full time now, and I could sit for 16 hours a day or 14, 12 hours a day and tie flies and get up from the vice, walk away up, make a cup of tea and say, yes, I'd love to tie another couple of flies. And I could do it 5 days a week. I just have this, unbelievable desire just to live, eat and breathe fly fishing. Love reading books, love reading old stuff, love talking to people, especially old stories that my dad tell or any of my uncles tell or anyone I can get to listen to tell me a story. I love hearing the old tales about fly fishing and different things like that, and fishing in general. It's not just fly fishing. I love sea fishing, do a bit of bait fishing. And I grew up, when I was a young lad, I was a wormer. Worm fishing at the start before I learned how to fly fish. So any kind of fishing. Once you're out fishing, it's all good. So the next one I'm going to tie for you is something that's has a couple of little different things to it, and I'm going to show you something here. Dave to end it as a ball breaker. It was that day of me, Dave, because I tell you there was about a force 4-5 came up at middle of the day. Mirko Scaffar's on there. Mirko, I was just talking about you earlier on. Hi Mirko, great to see you. Hope you and Tina are keeping well and safe, and really looking forward to getting back out to see you soon. Newcastle, alright Daniel, good stuff. Yeah, I know Newcastle, yeah. Ratrum in the younger days, good stuff, great. But anyway, they Loch Ennell, Force 5 broke up, Force 4-5 broke up. We were way down the bottom lake, don't know the name of it, had the lunch, come out after lunch, and the boats were all full of water with waves. We had to make our way back up. I was in the boat on my own, sitting at the back with an engine. Boat was cocked right up. As we went up each wave, I couldn't bail it fast enough. Just could not bail it fast enough. Horrendous. Never went back to Ennell after that. Okay, so I'm going to do this Nymphing now. I'm just looking what I need here. Some of it's going to be fairly similar to what we did last time, so I'm going to race through it fairly quickly. We're going jig 16 again for this one. Can be tied on pretty much anything, but this one is a jig 16. Okay. Hi Paul, Cal, hope you're keeping well. Dave, Paul Burker's on there now and says you were wrong. And Paul is a very knowledgeable fly fisher. You're wrong. The lake trout was caught in 1894. The river record was caught in 1957, and that's from the Irish Specimens Fish Committee. Thanks, Paul, for that confirmation. It's always good to have factual stuff, lads. Now, let me get my trail of thought. So I got a jig hook, turned it upside down, and I'm going to attach a bit of Kevlar onto it there for a minute. These couple of Perdigons I'm tying tonight are pretty much all the ones that have given me the best success over the last number of years since we kind of came across that kind of style of fishing. And this is another one that really has proved itself. There's another couple, I'm just actually reading through some handwritten notes I have here beside me. I always write a couple of handwritten notes to make sure I don't forget a few things that I want to mention to you. So when I'm fishing, when I'm in that zone then, and I've got the fish where I think I want them, then we fish confidently. We fish whatever we're doing, we do it as confident as possible, anticipating that the trout were there in front of us. And there's a couple of things there, you got to anticipate the take. So you got to anticipate the key moment, which is on the count that you should have accomplished in practice. I just tied in a bit of size 14 pearl mylar there, and I'm going to whip finish off that there now for a minute. Anticipate to take. Know that's that key zone when that nymph is down the zone has been swimming, it's down to the correct depth, and it doesn't always have to be on the bottom. That's the thing. I tight lining Dave's got a very good question there. Another question. What river in Ireland has grayling? Anyone that can give us the answer to that could get a very big prize. We don't think there is. We've done a lot of research over the years, but no, unfortunately we never had grayling. They were, as far as I can find out, they were attempted to be introduced into Wicklow or into the East Coast rivers, but unfortunately the high pine forestation and the high acidity in the rivers, the grayling's fragile makeup couldn't handle it, and they didn't take off. I could be mistaken, but that's the research I have. What I'm going to do now is put on a silver slotted tungsten bead onto that. Slide it up over. You got to use the Kevlar for this, lads, or something very fine and very strong. If you use normal thread for that, that ain't going to slip on over that. Okay, trimmed it off a bit. It doesn't need to be that long. Okay, we're going back to our black Tommy fly. Most of my perdigons, as you guessed right now, are tied with black, red, different colour perdigons, and trim that pearl nice and short. See the way that's happening for me? I'm not getting trapped. It just brushes away all the time. You don't have to worry about that. If I had that half an inch longer, I'd be picking that out of the body there the whole evening. So once I got that anticipated, the kind of a bit of an idea of where I think those fish are. Another very important thing too is I always look to accelerate the entry of the nymph into the river. Okay, so when people talk about contact when they're fishing, which is really important, if you don't have contact with those nymphs, you're at nothing. Okay, so I'm always tight lining. I keep a rod low, tight line low. I drag slightly faster than the current. Anything touches those nymphs, I know about it. Be a stone, rock, whatever, and I hit it. Okay, but when we're actually making the cast, when those nymphs are in there, you must also maintain that contact, because the amount of fish I get on the impact in the water is unbelievable. How you doing, Vingar? Hope you're keeping well. Great to have you on here with us tonight. So when my nymphs make that impact into the water, I have complete contact at that exact moment. I'm just thinking about this now. I am gone a little bit ahead of myself. I need to take off that black for a second, guys. Bear with me. So I, keep that contact throughout your entire cast. For me, is absolutely crucial, because the second, and I need white. So I've got some white Tommy fly here instead. So when I'm making my cast, I never do a side entry. You never just lazily flick it up to the side. A side entry, there's no penetration. The current's going to catch it and wash it off on you. The only way you're going to get really good accelerated penetration of those nymphs down to the water depth that you want to get them to is an overhead. Up over the head, smash them down into the river. So I just got a bit of white Tommy fly there, and as you can see the body got caught in that one because I had it up with my finger. Touching on a bit of white there, touching a cocktail on tail as usual. Now I'm going back to my black. Got a little bit ahead of myself there for a second. If anybody has any questions, by the way, please do shoot them across. If anybody wants to say hello, great to see some new faces on here tonight. Hope you're all keeping well. Saturday night we're nearly out of lockdown, the heavy lockdown anyway, but unfortunately I think enjoy the Christmas, lads and ladies. I don't think it's going to be long lived. I don't know how he's feel about it, but you can see us back in January now, heading back to square one, unfortunately. Has to be done, but no one's going to like it. So what I'm doing now is doing the usual when I'm doing a rib. What was that, Tom? Tom Anker tells us on there, like you were doing on the same in 2005. What's that now, Tom? Could be that aggressive. On the sand, yeah. Remember that last session, Tom? In the mucky war? Holy moly. I think it took me months to get over that thing. That was some exhausting session for those 4 or 5 fish. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just pulled that pearl up underneath the perdigon. Now, there's something happening to me here that happened before earlier on, and I'm actually kind of glad it showed that it happened right. So basically when I put me Tommy thread over the pearl is sliding up the side of the fly, okay? Now, and that can happen too when you're putting in tails of some flies and when you're doing ribs and stuff. So what you're going to do is you're going to put in one turn first. And I'm going to catch that back. Now look at it was a good session, all right. Yeah, so it was very enjoyable. I often go back to that, and I have a great picture of just standing on that beat, Tom, before that session, and got to remember the energy zapping that went into that. It was a very enjoyable session, I must admit. Now, basically, during our practice, for everyone that doesn't know, during our practice, the river was low. The Sand River in Poland in 2005, it was, Tom, you were saying, was really low, crystal clear. We were getting lots of fish on different bugs. Night before the championships, river rose a couple of foot, pure brown, red brown, changed everything. And holy moly, it was some championships. Really enjoyable, great trip, great group of guys. Mickey Dunn was on that there from Cork. Conor Bonner from the north was on there. Mickey Dunn from the west of Ireland was on there with us, Tom. My dad was on it, father and son. I forgot about my dad. Sorry, Dad, if you're watching. Myself and Dad were on that championships together. Tom was the captain. We had Pepsi, Harnish. Most Irish guys will know these Polish. Pepsi, Harnish, and what was the elder gentleman's name? Oh my God, I can't believe I don't remember his name. It'll come back to me in a second. So basically, I've just spun my white thread like I did with the other ribs and wound it up. Body. Small little bit of a tag sticking out there. I'm just going to whip finish that now for a minute. And this is where the real interesting stuff is going to start. Bishek. That's the name of that man. Bishek was the elder gentleman that organised everything. Great championships, great friends, great crack. Okay, now, so you can see now I have a little pearl underbody on that perdigon. White rib, lovely looking nymph, absolutely fantastic. Super Frankie was there as well, that's right, yeah, Super Frankie. So I want to trim off that. Bit of pearl there. There's no point even trying with scissors. Bishek, yeah, that's right, Dave. No point even trying with scissors. Get yourself a blade, okay? Put the blade in. If you try to trim that with the scissors, you're more than likely going to do more damage to that fly and have to do it again. Catch your pearl, put your blade right in there where it meets the hook, and just trim it off against the hook. That's the only way to cut it out. I've tried, trust me. How you doing, Aidan Gill? Hope you're keeping well. So that's one thing, right? So we've got a lovely little little pearl underbody on that perdigon, because with jig hooks naturally they're going to fish upside down, aren't they? So that pearl underbody is going to be quite exposed. All right. Now what we're going to talk about now is coloured resins, okay, for perdigons and different things like that. All right. Now so you get different colours. So if we want to put in a different colour, go on black. We want to try something a little bit different, right? You can use your pinks. Here you can use. I got to get these cameras done right here. Pinks, blacks, all that kind of stuff. There's a multitude of colours you can get out there. Through I say Solres is my favourite. Laser do pretty good colours too. You know, and there's a couple of other companies out there. Gulf do a couple of colours as well. I've never tried that stuff, but apparently there's a few people using it and say it's decent enough. But if you really want something different, this stuff. Okay, I dropped one. Maybe you've all noticed already, and you could actually come on and tell me, actually, we know that last year, Peter. Please do if you have. Mica powder. Anybody ever used mica powder for their perdigons? I got a box here of 50 colours, and there's quite a lot in that bag, trust me. If I type perdigons non-stop from now to the next decade, there'll still be powder left in that bag. Anybody ever used mica powder before? So I've done, as usual, sitting around some night doing a lot of research. Mica powder is the powder that's used to colour red. Now I know we sell Perdo Sparkle, and that's to put a little bit of glint into your perdigon. Really good stuff. I've used it a few times. Very good. I use a lot on buzzers, actually more so than I use on that. But mica powder is what colours your resins. Very, very, very fine powder. And it comes in a ton of colours. I got 50 colours here online. There's the bronze, pearl white, flashy pearl white, satin golden. There's a blue, pinks, reds, you name it. They're all in there. colour after colour, and that's only a tip of the iceberg. I got 50 colours for probably about 20 quid. eBay. Definitely. Buzzer men, anyone that's using resins, you need to have a stock of mica powder. It is fantastic. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to show you how to use it. Okay? Have anybody ever used that before? We're going to use the purple. Okay? Solid purple, this is called, for this particular fly. Alright? Just use your normal resin. Makes no odds. Sets like glass. All that. You can get in any colour under the sun. And you can put a really fine mica powder, like barely dip the tip of your brush into the mica powder, into a good pea-sized piece of resin. Mix it up and then coat the whole fly in it, and it will give you a micro glint onto that. It'll give you it's so hard to explain, you got to try it, but anyway, it'll give you a really subtle kind of fleck to your resin. Not like the Perdo Sparkle, it gives a bit more prominence, but it'll give a very subtle fleck to your resin. But if you mix it with, if you want a purple back on that nymph, or whatever you may want it for, well then hotspot there, or whatever it may be, well then mica powder is something you get. So I've got a larger tub here, you can see, and anybody else using it? I know there's one or two lads in Ireland that have been using it because we've been talking about it. So I got a pea size, probably a bit more than I need for this, but I might as well be excessive for the show, so I don't have to go mixing again. So I got a roughly around a pea size piece of resin there. Anybody come on there and tell me they've been on mica powder? No? Mica. Sorry. M-I-C-A. That's the powder you're looking for. Maybe everyone's gone Googling mica powder. That's why nobody's answering me. I thought someone would come on and say, oh yeah, I've been using that stuff for years, Peter. Someone come on there and tell me something about it if they do. If not, definitely, guys, get on it. It's oh my god, I haven't even tipped the iceberg of what you could do with it, but I've been playing with it for a while, and this is definitely one that's so basically I'm just pouring a bit of powder into my tube. So here you can see, got the powder there on the top, resin's just underneath it, kind of hard to see there now on the camera. Resin's there. I'm going to mix the two up with my needle, and I'm going to make a lovely purple hotspot for that. I'm going to try and get you a bit closer to see the way the colour's coming out. See that lovely glossy kind of colour it's coming out? See that? Look at that. Oh my god, beautiful. It's like metallic. Now the one thing happens when you do mix the mica powder, it becomes kind of stringy, right? So it comes a little bit, you can see a little bit of a stringy there. Don't be fearful of that. Okay, don't think there's a bit of a fibre or a bit of a hair in your mixture and you go, oh, thick of it hair. That's just the way it all kind of connects together. Okay, so give it a good mix. See that lovely purple? Brendan Doolin, yeah, I've used that as well. This stuff is yeah, that's the sparkle powder. We have that downstairs as well. This is completely different stuff, trust me. I bought that years ago. I bought that off a truck line, and this is not compared to this stuff, trust me. You got it. If you haven't tried mica powder, there is no tackle shop as far as I'm aware selling this stuff, and I certainly have no interest in doing it, of bagging and doing everything like that. So I got a bit here now on my needle, and I'm ready to put in my back thorax on a beautiful purple. So I say, don't hold back too long. Once you mix it, it becomes a little bit stringy. So just be quick and get a mix on it. I'm going to have to stop talking here now and just speed up on this little process here a bit for you guys, if you don't mind, because it comes a bit stringy if you muck around with too much. So I just let the string kind of touch the fly and drag it out. See what I'm doing? And again, a little bit of a coat on it there. Put it back into the rest of it. Won't harden, won't set. Jonah Olsen. Yeah, Jonah. It's all I want for Christmas. Absolutely. Wish I had bought shares of mica powder before I came online tonight. Feck it anyway. I could have made a fortune. But trust me, Jonas, it is. I tell you, I haven't even started playing with this stuff yet. But I can tell you now, it is going to be a bomb. It's going to be a bomb. I've done a couple of nymphs with it over the second half of last season, and been playing around with it. And every time I play with it, I go, oh my god, I just think of something else I can use it for. And it sets absolutely rock hard. Same as any resin, no problem whatsoever. I've been kind of messing around with that nymph now and losing a bit of shape on it. So once I got it in up there, usual, just give it a blast at it. Give it a blast at the paint. And now we're going to go back to my clear resin and I'm going to coat the rest of the fly. Now, where did my clear resin go? So I got another tub here with my clear resin still in it. And I'm going to coat the rest of the fly. There's mica powder. When you Google it, and I'm sure you're all Googling it now, it comes in, you can buy 30 colours, whatever. I bought the 50 colour range. I think I paid £18 sterling, roughly around 20 quid for the 50 packs. Trust me, and they are, it doesn't really give a weight, but they're for small packs. But for the amount of powder that's in them, there is no way am I going to use that in my lifetime of fly tying. So, going to give it a nice coat now, seal the whole fly up, make sure it's all coated, the underbody, the whole lot. And say with that mica powder, if I was doing a fly and I was going to do it tonight, but just wasn't. I tried it once, twice before, and I just wasn't happy to demonstrate the purpose of it. The tiniest little bit into your clear resin to do the body, and you get this lovely little shimmer. I don't know, Luca. Everyone's going to buy it on eBay now. I'm just giving away the secret. Had toyed with the idea of buying a couple of pound bags of it and bagging it up and faking the whole lot, but I thought I hardly have time to keep on top of what I have to do at the moment without having to bag up a whole load of mica powder and advertise it and do the whole lot. So you know what, let's go to eBay, buy it on eBay, exactly right about it. Love to share information like that, and I hope you all have a great time with it and have a bit of fun with it. By the way, the only condition is you all have to send me pictures of your creations. I want to see pictures of the creations, especially any of the killers Jonas that might have there, or anyone else that start using mica powder next year. Really good stuff. It's actually, so where I actually came across it, because I'm always researching stuff just for information, an awful lot of these, because I researched resin an awful lot over the last while, an awful lot of these posts come up on Facebook, lads making these dinner tables and different things like that, and different effects that had been on. I just put a second little coat there just to taper it in and get a nice even finish to that perdigon. And I was thinking, they're pouring powder into clear resins. So what the hell is that? What the hell is that? What the hell is that stuff? That powder they're putting in to make this really oily, sleeky, sparkly, metallic look to their resins. And I just Googled it, and it turned out to be mica powder, and turned out that you can buy it in very small amounts and lots of colours. And there you go, good man, Dave. Hi, Chris. I had to share this. Good man. Dave too is on there. Some of the saltwater guys in the States have been using it on their shrimp and crab patterns. There you go. So they're ahead of the game. We're going to be up there, guys, with our mica powder. So there's a hot purple. Purple's not coming out quite that good against the blue t-shirt, but hot purple, metallic kind of purple. I can see the little bit of glister in it. I don't know, I'm looking on the camera, can you see it? But anyway, it's there. Sitting up at the back of the bead, rock solid, lovely fly. Paul Cattle, I have been that soldier. So Mikey Foley, very good. The guards will be calling if they heard you were breaking the up powder and selling it. Can it be snorted? No, Dave, I didn't try. Haven't got that drunk enough yet, Dave. Maybe on a Christmas special. No. But really good. Been playing around with that one for the last while. Had a bit of a fish with it towards the latter end of the season. No problems whatsoever. Resin held up. Absolutely fantastic. And say come in a multitude of colours, lads. Like the flashy white pearl is just got such a shimmer to it. Absolutely gorgeous. You got a bronze. And there's only a couple satin golden. For the grayling lovers, we got some pinks there. Peach pink is another colour. Not coming great out in the camera there. Solid purplish red, a very deep pink in my eyes. Fantastic stuff. So great to come across something new and be able to share with us, and I hope you all really enjoyed it. So that's our perdigon. That's our kind of couple of perdigons I kind of wanted to show you and give you something a little bit extra to think about over the next couple of days with that mica powder, and then have some fun with it over the next couple of weeks. Hope he's really enjoyed the night. Hope he's, if you have any questions on the theory that I was blabbering on about earlier on, by all means send me across a message or see what you think, or if you have any contradictions. But I'd love to hear it. You know, it's a bit of work we did over the last couple of years, something I've been meaning to spend a lot more time on, but definitely, you know, when I enter the river, I'm being aggressive. Most of the guys that have been to fish with me know that anyway, that I'm aggressive. I push fish. I try to push fish. And, you know, for me, the bead is the most important thing. The body is what gives you confidence. So I'm not saying you don't need to go out there now tomorrow and super glue a whole heap of hooks onto beads. That's your fly box and go fishing next season. What I'm saying is that, you know, the patterns give you confidence. That's what makes you catch fish. You don't have confidence in what you're doing. I've been saying it all along. Well, then you're only fishing at about 50%. So you need to have complete confidence in your setups, your leaders, your tippets, your knots, the way you put on your socks, whatever it may be. Every process, every system, you must have confidence in. And then, you know, confidence in your patterns. That's what gives you confidence. But for me, it's the bead that's the most important thing. Good quality tungsten beads, good weight in them, get you down to the right spot, and get you in there where the fish is. And don't be afraid to, you know, be aggressive. And when you hit them with confidence, strike that with confidence. Everything's a fish. As I say, there's no bumping off stones. Anything that bumps that nymph at all, I hit it like a fish. So look at, thanks Sean. Good man, Neil Hamilton's on the quick off the mark there. Good stuff. Yeah. My wife seen that first time I came into the house, and she goes, "What are you getting into?" I think probably nail guys use it, nail people use as well, but yeah, really interesting stuff. And I would really love if anybody gets that in soon. Please take some pictures and send them on. Maybe next time we're on Saturday Night Live next weekend or the weekend after, send us some of your creations. Let's see if we can come up with some good Irish stuff. Get ahead of the game a little bit. Maybe. I don't think we ever will, but we'll try anyway. So love to see that. So look, thanks a million for watching. Hope you enjoyed tonight. Don't forget to check out our website for all you need. www.scaryfly.com. Our Christmas special will be on the 27th of December, Sunday night, 27th of December. It will be starting at 8 p.m. I will have some stuff up there later on. And as usual, guys, hope everyone's keeping safe and well. Thanks for all your support. Hope you found tonight enjoyable. I certainly do. It's the highlight of my week at the moment. Fly fishing, of course, not family related, but really look forward to every week coming on here. Love to see everybody coming on, having a chat, and getting your feedback is absolutely fantastic. So look, take care everyone, have a great Saturday night, enjoy your Sunday tomorrow, and hard luck with Kilkenny, well done Waterford, and stay safe. See you all next week.